Welcome to The Know. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
So there's been a lot of drama, a lot of news involving Telltale, even though they made the announcement last Friday that they're shutting down, but there's been a lot of developments we wanted to talk about. So if you haven't heard, we'll just get you up to speed right now. Telltale announced last Friday it's shutting down. By some reports, 225 people laid off. They did say they were leaving a skeleton crew of 25 people there to finish what turned out to be Minecraft story mode. That was a deal
for
they
Netflix?
had for Netflix. That's right. So that has left the question, though, of what to do with The Walking Dead, because they're in their final season, and episode 2, I believe, released today. But everyone's like, okay, is that it? And
what happens to people that bought the season pass? Like, what's going on? Which is really interesting. It like kind of came out of left field that this was just being shuttered. But.
Yeah, and they had other stuff going on. Stranger Things, it was a deal with Netflix. That is now canceled. Netflix says they're still going to do something with it, but not with Telltale. Wolf Among Us 2, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get my Tales from the Borderlands Volume 2, the best of the Telltale games in my opinion. But.
Right, but so recently, and this might have been today or yesterday, Telltale tweeted about specifically Walking Dead, and they said that multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping them complete the game. And they said they're actively working towards a solution that will allow episodes 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. Now, some people were like, hey, that's great. But others were like, pointed out that all of these people who lost their jobs basically were told to get out.
Right.
They did not get severance. And it really, I think, highlighted some of the darker sides of the industry where people, if the studio shuts down, their employees are just shit out of luck. And so a lot of people on Twitter started responding with, hey, why don't you take care of your ex-employees first?
Right, which I'm not even quite certain what Telltale's going to do in terms of like if they get the funding for this, are they going to reach out to these employees and say, hey, come back and we'll pay you for the rest of the episodes, or what?
Yeah, because the studio's kind of disintegrated at this point.
Yeah,
I mean except for that small group, but I think everyone who worked on The Walking Dead, I think, was let go.
Right, yeah, I know they said that the team was definitely just told to leave. They had 30 minutes, I think, to get out of the building, and then yesterday they were allowed 3 hours to
come get their stuff back.
Right, which is crazy.
Right.
But we've seen like a great outpouring from Twitter and other like game devs saying like, hey, like come, we'll set you up with interviews. I know Ubisoft set up like, here's this time at this restaurant, we'll pay for your meal, come in and we'll do an interview with. I think it was Ubisoft.
Yeah, I think there was a great, what was it, the Telltale Jobs hashtag that they immediately set up. Some former employees, Emily Grace Buck has been great about kind of drawing attention to that there's this group of former employees now, former Telltale employees who need jobs, and they've kind of used that hashtag to direct people to resources and to job openings. Specifically about continuing The Walking Dead, a lot of people seem to have the opinion of, that's great, maybe take care of these former employees first. Maybe pay them their severance. For instance, Cory Barlog, who directed God of War, responded to that Telltale tweet and said, I would hope this means that you will first pay your entire team their severance and then proceed to finish the final episodes. I would be fine waiting however long it took to ensure we first treated those who worked so hard with the humanity and respect they deserve.
Right, and that's awesome with Cory Barlog. It's really interesting to see what kind of conversation this is creating, especially with just jobs in the industry in general. Like I know, was it last month that like Capcom Vancouver shut down the Dead Rising creators, and we didn't really hear any kind of hubbub about it. But with this, it's more so they were just told to get out. You have like 30 minutes, grab your things, and you'll be let back in later.
And they even shed a little bit more light on that. Variety interviewed one of the co-founders of Telltale, Dan Connors, who said apparently the whole shutdown was because a financial backer pulled out after they were working to do another round of financing, and somebody sort of pulled out, and that apparently was the last straw.
Started the sinking ship.
Yeah, he didn't name names. A lot of people think it could be Lionsgate. Lionsgate, back in the day, invested $40 million in Telltale back in 2015, but they apparently notified them recently they decided to stop funding Telltale so they could refocus more on its core business. So maybe they were expecting a lot of money from Lionsgate. Lionsgate decided, nope, we don't want to do it anymore, and then that was sort of it.
Sure, and it's super hard to get, I know, funding for AAA titles. Like if you take in the account of like you have to pay all these employees, you have to feed these employees, especially if you're keeping people for like overtime and they're going to be just living at the office. Usually they'll buy food, not to mention like marketing stunts. So I'm sure just if one person pulls out, that's a huge like blow to your budget.
Right, and so studio shut down aside from the small group, but now this just breaking Polygon reporting that a former Telltale employee is suing the company in a class action lawsuit, saying they violated labor laws. Basically, and what they're saying is you didn't give enough warning. There are various things. There's something called the WARN Act, to where if you're going to have like mass layoffs, you have to like give notice ahead of time.
Is it right?
Yeah. And you have to provide like a public notice. We're planning to do this, and obviously to give people some advance notice. Like, hey, because losing your job is like a cataclysmic event.
Yeah, it takes time to do the job search, make sure you can get to the interview process, like make sure you are prepared for the interview. Because I know some, like for programmers, right, you have to sit down and usually they have some, I've heard like of like 9-hour tests, 3 of which are like hours are just physics tests, and 6 hours that are like programming mechanics.
What?
Which is crazy, yeah. Especially for game studios that they have to know all this knowledge.
They didn't do shit like that at Rooster
Oh
Teeth.
no, I think I showed up one day and it was like, okay, sure, I guess. But
well, we need, they just told me we need somebody to write this shit. So
yeah, they told me you need an editor. They just got to pull me in. But
well, and you think about from these employees. A lot of them probably had to move out there. You know, if they have kids, put them in schools.
I thought I'd read one story,
place, an apartment. You know, it's a huge thing.
I think I had read one story where someone like a few weeks ago had moved to where Telltale was headquartered at to work there, and a week later was told that they were shutting down the company.
Yeah, and I think, and another kind of shady thing, or at least that I've heard, is that weren't they still advertising? Didn't they still have openings? So maybe Telltale, at least until pretty recently, so maybe Telltale, you'd like to think they didn't know, you know, or maybe this just happened at the last minute. I don't know, but I can't imagine having recently accepted a job there.
And then you show up, you move out your entire family, and then once you get there a week later, you're just told, oh yeah, about that job. I know you started, you've done a great week, but we're shutting down.
Lots of other people also expressed support for the idea of take care of these displaced employees first, then let's worry about a game. Eric Monticelli, maybe, senior producer of Marvel Games, he seconded what Cory Barlog wrote, and he said, and the team that's rebuilt to finish the series should consist of those who want, if they want to come back to complete their work, those severed employees deserve first priority. I think that's,
Yeah,
and
I
a lot
agree
of
with that,
people
absolutely.
echoed that. And I think there's, you know, I think sometimes as fans you can forget that there's people behind this, that it's not just, the most important thing is finishing this unfinished series, you know.
Right, I think one of the things, there was one of the
there's
directors.
a lot of hardworking people behind that.
Right. It's all about, a lot of people just want to see the game pushed out. Right. And it's really easy to forget that there's people, a bunch of people, usually working on an engine or like directing a game just to make sure the story works out the way it needs to.
And I'm not a game developer, but I've covered the industry for a while, and you always hear how brutal it is. You know, the crunch time, you know, when a game is set to be released, that it can be very, very stressful and draining.
Absolutely. I know crunch is a huge issue in the industry in general.
Right.
So it's interesting. What I'm really interested to see what's going to come of this is there have been talks about kind of like a video game programmer or industry guild, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term.
Right.
But
so a union.
Yeah, a union. Right. There you go. Union. That was what I was looking for. Is like a video game workers union. If that's something's going to come out of that, because I've heard a lot of hubbub about there needs to be something in place to protect people. I know, especially we're lucky that with the California law, you have the 60-day notice that's supposed to be done, so now they're able to sue for severance. But
they're able to sue, but who knows if they'll be able to get anything. But yeah, I mean, it varies by country. You know, in a lot of European countries, there are a lot stronger worker protections. You know, in terms of unions and things like that. So yeah, that has definitely sparked a conversation about unionization, and I've heard people talk about that for years.
Right.
So it's you wonder if this will be a final impetus,
a catalyst.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And it's, it's definitely sad. And I think that, we'll have to wait and see because there's a lot of, fallout from this. This was a huge, hundreds of people laid off, and Telltale was one of the most well-known studios, I think, out there.
They had Game of the Year, 1 or 2 years ago for, I think, The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Not 1 or 2 years ago, but a while ago. But
yeah. You mean back when the first season came out?
Yeah, it got Game of the Year. And
Classic,
it's really weird. I know, it was just shocking for me when the news broke. I went, oh, God, what? No, this has to be some troll or something.
Right.
But it happens.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so that about sums it up. Let us know what you guys think of this. If you're a Walking Dead fan, let us know what you think, particularly and especially about the latest episode of the game, because I've heard some people say it's good, but if this is the end of the series, like, it's weird. It's a weird.
They're 2 episodes away from a finale. So to cut that short is just heartbreaking for fans.
Right. So let us know what you think down in the comments below, and of course, like this video, subscribe. Better yet, if you're on our website, theknow.tv, you're already in the right place. So thanks for being there. All right. See ya.